Hey guys, Bob here. So I'm going to give my thoughts on the prequel trilogy as a whole real quick. I don't have any notes. This is not scripted. This is just, as most of my videos are, this is just my thoughts off the top of my head of what I think. I said in the reviews themselves that episode 3 was my favorite, and that is definitely the case. Phantom Menace probably would come in second. Attack of the Clones is at the end. I went to see uh, Phantom Menace in the theater. It was the summer between my fifth and sixth grade year, and when I was a kid, of course, I loved it. You know, before I realized how irritating Jar Jar was and how wooden the dialogue is. That is my biggest complaint about the prequels as a whole, is how terrible the dialogue is. If I asked my wife one time, half joking, if I she's a Star Wars fan too. If I'd have used any of the lines that Anakin uses as pickup lines on Padme, if she'd have been anywhere near as interested in me, she just started laughing. But the stories, and the frustrating thing is the stories that Lucas sets out to tell are really good. And this prequel trilogy had so much wasted potential. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still Star Wars, and I still have fun watching it, and I will watch them probably more frequently than I do a lot of movies. But I do looking back on that, it was a huge wasted opportunity. But even more so than the sequel trilogy, and we'll get to that later. I mean, cause I actually prefer the sequel trilogy to the prequel trilogy. I know I'm probably going to get a bunch of people commenting saying that I don't know what I'm talking about. I lost all my credibility, but especially after going back and watching them, there are points in these prequels that they're painful to watch, and my wife has put it best into words when we were watching the Rise of Skywalker uh, back when it was digital only. That when in Rise of Skywalker, when and spoiler if you haven't seen it, when Chewie finds out that Leia died, uh, the way it's done, you feel pain for him. Where if you go back and you're watching the prequels, there are moments when you feel pain for yourself because it's so poorly executed. Now, be that as it may, each film definitely has its redeeming qualities. The Geonosis arena and Battle On are top rate Star Wars, and they're a lot of fun to watch. Uh, Phantom Menace, the pod race, is still exhilarating to watch, especially with the right surround sound setup. And Revenge of the Sith is one that really, other than the clunky dialogue between Anakin and Padme, is really where the dialogue is that I have a problem with. Really, I don't have much of a problem with that one. Maybe it's because Padme isn't in it that much. Not that I have a problem with the character. I don't. It's maybe because Padme Anakin dynamic isn't as forefront as it is in Attack of the Clones. You've got all this other stuff going on with chasing Grievous and Anakin being seduced by Palpatine and so on and so forth. But I don't know. Since I went opening day to see Episode 3 in theaters, and I very much enjoyed it then, and I very much enjoyed it every time I watched it. I saw that one 3 times in the theater, and I watched it many times on DVD when it came out, and that one to me is fun, and I would actually rank it quite high. When this is all said and done, I will probably release a video ranking the 11 live action Star Wars films, and that one would Revenge of the Sith would definitely rank a lot higher than I think some people would think it would, just because of how I'm. I don't mean to be poo pooing on the prequels, but it could be better. As for the discs themselves, they are a huge upgrade from the way they look on Blu-ray, or the way they looked on the 20th Century Fox Blu-ray. Um, to me, they're definitely worth the upgrade. Are they perfect? No. And you will find, if you look online and read any of the reviews, you'll see, rightfully so, where there are some problems people had with them, especially the Phantom Menace. But they are such a huge upgrade over what the Blu-rays looked like. And if you're a fan like me, that's worth picking up alone. But no, Phantom Menace, Jar Jar, I have is probably my biggest problem. Uh, it gets bogged down a little bit when they're on Coruscant with all the Senate proceedings and all that, but really, it's just the Gungans and that kind of draw it down. It's too much of an attempt at childhood humor, I guess. I mean, I realize it was made for I realize Star Wars is a kid franchise, but to me, you could have had done it slightly different and had it slightly more dramatic, and you'd have had, it would have greatly improved the overall uh, impact of the film. Episode 2, if you strip away the love story elements, which I realize that's a critical part of the movie in terms of the story, but those are the elements that are frustrating. I mean, realistically, what girl wouldn't run when after Anakin talked about murdering the women and the children? After he slaughtered the Sand People. But if you'd, I mean, and I realize that's supposed to be meant to show his turn to darkness and stuff, but it's a lot of the wooden dialogue and the poor chemistry between the two of them that, oh, if that would have been executed, because the rest of the movie is great. Yeah, I realize there's some cliche elements to it, but the rest of the movie is great. It's fun. Like the lightsaber battles on Geonosis, Christopher Lee. Christopher Lee was underutilized in these movies. Christopher Lee was a gem. And of course, being a horror fan, I'm quite familiar with a lot of his earlier work, but the underuse of Christopher Lee was perhaps the biggest disappointment from the prequels, other than the wooden acting and stuff. But if they'd have fixed the love story to where it wasn't so wooden and so lack of chemistry, Episode 2 would easily be my preferred choice over the Phantom Menace. But it's neither here nor there. My preferences don't have anything to do with it. So then, like I say, Episode 3, easily the best. If they'd have fixed a few of the moments, like Anakin, you're breaking my heart, and some of the other moments that you sit and go, okay. When these movies came out, I liked them a lot more because maybe, like I say, I was fairly young when they came out. I didn't understand how bad the dialogue was. And now that I don't want to say mature, I don't want to make it sound like I'm this mature being, but as I've aged and gotten older, it's definitely one of those things to where I realize, aha, yeah, this is kind of painful to watch. Why did I not have a problem with this earlier? But now that I find the prequels best if you watch them and then you wait a while and then watch them, because they're fun to watch when you watch them once in a while, just because the fun elements are that good. But overall, I think the prequels are a missed opportunity. And like I say, if the my ranking would have changed had just a few tweaks been made to the love story between Anakin and Padme in Episode 2, but, well, the way we've got it, I'm going to go with Revenge of the Sith as my top choice, followed by Phantom Menace, followed by Attack of the Clones. And yes, the 4K discs are a huge upgrade. A lot of the extras are extras if you had the digital copy, or some of the other releases are repeats. So the extras alone, don't make your purchase just based off the extras. Purchase alone is, to me, if you find the 4K upgrades worth it, which, if you're a fan of the movie and you have a 4K TV and a 4K UHD player, it's worth it. Especially if you've got a surround sound to experience the Dolby Atmos tracks. But again, that's about all I've got to say about the prequels. Well, so I've got this series of videos I'm going to post where I look at film scores, because I'm a big film score buff, and where I'll talk about them, and I'll revisit the prequels when we go I talk about the Star Wars film scores. But I'm going to probably wait a little while, because I'm going to try to get content from other movies on here, because I realize not everybody likes Star Wars, and I'm trying to get a little more variety there. But I will come back around to them. But the film scores to those three movies are by far the strongest point. John Williams conducted a masterpiece between those three movies. He is by far the strong point of the prequels. Across the Stars, the sweeping love theme, and of course Duel of Fates and Battle of Heroes, all excellent. But I'll give you more thoughts on the scores later when I do those videos. But for now, thanks for watching. And if you enjoyed this video, please give me a like and subscribe to my channel so you know when the next video comes out. Thank you.